they heard it before they saw it. A low, rolling roar that moved across the rooftops of northern India. And then, in seconds, the sky came apart. On the night of May 13, 2026, a catastrophic chain of thunderstorms tore through Uttar Pradesh, India's most populous state. By sunrise, more than 100 people were dead, and that number was still climbing. Billboards, the size of school buses, were ripped from their foundations and sent spinning into highways. Trees that had stood for decades snapped clean at their roots. Wooden furniture from roadside food stalls was thrown through the air like pieces of cardboard. Walls that had sheltered families for generations gave way in seconds. And in the middle of all of it were hundreds of millions of people with nowhere to run. The hardest hit city was Prayagraj, one of the most sacred places in all of India, home to nearly 4 million people. In a single night, at least 21 of its residents lost their lives. One city, one night. 21 families changed forever. Uttar Pradesh is home to more than 250 million people. That is more than the entire population of Brazil. And on the night of May 13th, a vast stretch of that population stood directly in the path of one of the deadliest spring storms this region has seen in recent memory. In the next 15 minutes, you will hear exactly what happened, how this storm moved across the land district by district, why scientists are warning that events like this are becoming more violent with every passing year, and what it means for the 250 million people who still live in its shadow. Stay with us. Because the full picture is far worse than any headline has told you. The storm did not arrive without warning. It built through the afternoon hours of May 13th. By early evening, the sky over the northern plains of India had already changed color. People described it as greenish, not gray, not dark, green. That color is a sign meteorologists recognize immediately. It means enormous amounts of hail are forming high in the upper atmosphere. The ice crystals refract sunlight in ways that cast an unnatural glow across everything below. When you see that color in the sky, what follows is never gentle. Uttar Pradesh sits on the Indo-Gangetic Plain, a flat, wide river basin that stretches nearly 500 miles from west to east. In May, before the monsoon season arrives, this region bakes in relentless heat. Surface temperatures across the state had been running close to 104 degrees Fahrenheit in the days leading up to May 13th. The air had absorbed an extraordinary amount of heat and moisture over weeks. When a cooler, upper-level weather system pushed south from the northwest. That evening, the collision was explosive. According to the State Disaster Management and Relief Office, what struck Uttar Pradesh was not a single isolated thunderstorm. It was a chain of connected, severe thunderstorm cell systems that feed off each other's energy and grow stronger as they travel. They moved east and south across the state for hours, striking district after district through the night. Prayagraj took the first major blow. Sometime after nightfall, this ancient city sits at the meeting point of 3 rivers, including the sacred Ganges. It is one of the oldest continuously inhabited cities in the world. By midnight, at least 21 of its residents were dead, but the storm did not stop there. It pushed onward into Kanpur Dehat, into Narangpur, into Chhatarpur, each district home to hundreds of thousands of people. According to reports confirmed by Reuters and the Indian State Disaster Management Office, lightning strikes killed several people independently of the wind and structural damage. A 25-year-old man in Ojakapurwa village was killed when a concrete shed collapsed on top of him. A 56-year-old man in Sari Swami village lost his life when a wall gave way under the force of the wind. Then came the hail. Large chunks of ice slammed into agricultural fields across the state. According to state authorities, 170 head of livestock cattle, Oxen and other working animals were killed by the storm in a single night. Initial figures from the State Disaster Management Office, cited by Reuters, placed the death toll near 90. Within hours, that number had climbed past 100. By the morning of May 15th, multiple credible sources, including the Watchers News Service, confirmed at least 111 dead, 59 injured, and 227 homes damaged or destroyed. Behind every one of those numbers is a family that will never be the same. When the thunder finally moved east and the wind dropped, what remained across Uttar Pradesh was a state in quiet devastation. Streets across Prayagraj were blocked by fallen trees. Roads connecting rural villages to district centers had been severed. Power had gone out across much of the affected area. Families who survived the storm sat in the dark, not knowing whether help was coming or how far away it was. At least 111 people were confirmed dead as of May 15th. 59 others were injured. 227 homes were confirmed damaged or destroyed. These are the numbers that can be counted. What cannot be easily counted is what those numbers mean to the people living inside them. A damaged home in rural Uttar Pradesh is not an inconvenience. It is often everything a family owns. A destroyed harvest is not a setback. It can be the beginning of a debt spiral that follows a family for years. 170 livestock were killed in a single night. For farmers across the state, a working ox is not just an animal. It is the machine that plows the field. It is the engine behind the harvest. Losing even one animal can set a farming family back for an entire season. Losing several animals in one night can push a household to the edge of economic collapse. Rice fields across multiple districts were buried under mud and hailstones. Vegetable crops that farmers had tended since January, gone in a matter of hours, in a state where a large portion of the population depends directly on farming for daily survival. Agricultural loss on this scale creates a second wave of suffering. It does not appear in the immediate death toll. It shows up months later in empty market stalls and loans that cannot be repaid. Television footage broadcast across India in the days that followed showed the raw scale of the destruction. Overturned vehicles, collapsed walls, streets buried under broken branches and debris, clouds of dust stripped from the open ground and thrown into the sky. The Uttar Pradesh state government launched rescue and relief operations across all affected districts within hours of the storm passing. The chief minister ordered rapid damage assessments in every district. Financial compensation was announced for the families of those killed. Medical teams were deployed to reach the injured. Emergency food distribution began in the hardest-hit communities. But to understand why this storm hit this population this hard, you have to go deeper than the footage. You have to understand what this region is, what it sits on, and why spring in Uttar Pradesh has always carried danger inside it. Because this storm did not come from nowhere. And it did not hit randomly. It came from a combination of geography, climate, and vulnerability that has been building for a long time. 250 million people. That is the population of Uttar Pradesh. To give that number its full weight, if Uttar Pradesh were an independent country, it would rank as the 5th most populous nation on earth. More people live in this single Indian state than in the entire United States west of the Mississippi River. They live, for the most part, on one of the flattest and most exposed stretches of land in the world, the Indo-Gangetic Plain. This is a massive river basin formed over millions of years by sediment washing down from the Himalayas. It is extraordinarily fertile. It has supported human civilization for thousands of years, and in spring it becomes extraordinarily dangerous. Here is the meteorology behind what happened on May 13th. In April and May, before the monsoon arrives, surface temperatures across the northern Indian plains push toward 104 degrees Fahrenheit or higher. The ground radiates heat upward. The air directly above becomes intensely unstable. Warm, moisture-laden air near the surface desperately wants to rise, but is held down by a cap of denser, cooler air above it. Meteorologists call this atmospheric capping. Think of it as a lid on a pot of boiling water. Pressure builds underneath, and when that lid lifts, everything that was stored releases at once. When a cooler, drier system pushed in from the northwest on the evening of May 13th, that cap lifted. The stored heat and moisture surged violently upward. Thunderstorm cells developed with extraordinary speed. They merged with each other. They fed off each other's energy. They produced extreme winds, large hail, heavy rain, and lethal lightning simultaneously, across hundreds of miles of open flatland. This phenomenon has a name in the local language. It is called Kaal Baisakhi. The translation is roughly the calamity of the spring season. It has struck the northern plains of India for as long as written records exist. It is not new, but it is changing. A warmer atmosphere holds more moisture. More moisture means more energy is available for storm systems to consume and convert into destructive force. Climate researchers studying convective storms across South Asia have documented a consistent trend over the past 3 decades. These storms are becoming more intense. Wind speeds are higher. Hail events are larger. Rainfall is heavier and faster. And the death tolls from what used to be considered routine, seasonal storms are climbing year after year. Here is the comparison that makes that trend impossible to dismiss. A similar spring storm system in Uttar Pradesh in 2023 killed approximately 35 people. In 2024, a comparable event killed close to 60. In 2026, a single night of storms has killed at least 111. That is not an anomaly. That is a trend line, and climate scientists have been publishing warnings about it for years. And here is the part that reaches beyond India's borders. This exact type of storm, driven by extreme surface heat, trapped atmospheric moisture, and the violent instability that forms when those conditions collide, is projected by climate researchers to become more frequent across South Asia, portions of the Middle East, and sub-Saharan Africa over the coming decades. What happened in Uttar Pradesh on the night of May 13th is not a local tragedy in isolation. According to the science, it is a preview of what increasingly awaits large, heat-exposed, densely populated regions across the world. The infrastructure gap sharpens the risk further. In many rural parts of Uttar Pradesh, homes are built from clay brick with minimal structural reinforcement. Building codes exist on paper, but are inconsistently enforced in practice. Lightning protection systems are rare. Early warning infrastructure, while slowly improving, has not yet reached every village in a state this vast and this flat. When a storm system moves at speed across open geography this wide, alerting every person in its path with enough lead time to take shelter is a challenge that current systems have not yet solved. That is the full equation behind 111 deaths. Not just a storm. A storm meeting a vulnerable population, in vulnerable housing, in a warming climate, with warning systems that are not yet fast enough or far-reaching enough to protect everyone. That is why scientists and disaster management officials across India are now calling publicly for stronger rural building standards and significantly expanded early warning infrastructure. The call is not new, but after a night like May 13th, it carries a weight it has never carried before. As of the most recent reports available on May 15th, 2026, the confirmed death toll from the Uttar Pradesh storm system stands at least 111 people. 59 individuals remain injured. 227 homes have been confirmed damaged or destroyed. 170 livestock are dead across multiple districts. Relief operations launched by the state government are ongoing. Damage assessments are being completed district by district. Financial compensation has been formally announced for the families of those who lost their lives, though the full disbursement process will take additional weeks to complete. The Indian Meteorological Department has issued continued heat warnings for the region. Temperatures across Uttar Pradesh and the greater Delhi area are forecast to push back past 104 degrees Fahrenheit in the coming days. Those are the exact atmospheric conditions, extreme surface heat, trapped moisture, atmospheric instability, that produced the May 13th storm system. Forecasters are monitoring the situation closely as the pre-monsoon period continues. Monsoon rains are not expected to reach the northern plains until late June at the earliest. No formal international aid request has been issued as of this report. India is managing the disaster response through state and national resources. Officials and scientists are now calling loudly for action on rural housing standards and faster early warning systems. That call has been made after storms before this one. After a night like May 13th, the urgency behind it is different. Here is what is true beyond all the statistics. 111 people went to sleep on the night of May 13, 2026, and did not wake up. Not because of an unforeseeable event that caught everyone off guard, but because of a seasonal storm that follows roughly the same calendar every single year, meeting a population that remains more exposed to it than it should be. That is the tragedy inside the tragedy. Not just what happened, but the knowledge that stronger warning systems, stronger homes, and stronger preparation could have made the number smaller. The people of Uttar Pradesh are not strangers to hardship. This is one of the oldest continuously settled regions in human history. These communities have endured floods, droughts, and violent storms for millennia. But endurance is not the same as acceptance. The families who are counting their losses tonight in damaged homes, in buried crops, in animals they cannot replace, in people they will never see again, deserve more than endurance. They deserve the world's sustained attention. Thank you for watching. In a world that moves fast and forgets faster, spending 15 minutes on a story like this one matters. It is one way the rest of the world bears witness to what is happening to people it will never meet. We want to hear from you. Do you think the international community is doing enough to help vulnerable populations prepare for the growing threat of extreme weather? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. We read every single one. If this report was worth your time, please subscribe to T1 News and hit the notification bell. We cover major disasters and extreme weather events from around the world, and we never sensationalize. We just tell you what happened, why it matters, and what comes next. We will be back very soon with our next report. Until then, stay safe out there, and we will see you in the next one.